After the invention of the movable type, newspapers became more common. Several papers were published in American colonies, but each one brought out forms of censorship with the American government. Benjamin Franklin was a well-known publisher who wrote the Pennsylvania Gazette, which featured political cartoons and introduced weather reports to the public. Newspapers at the colonial time were quite expensive. They could cost 6 cents, and the paper was only a mere 4 pages. In 1830, Benjamin Day invented a newspaper by the name of the New York Sun, and was produced by hand-powered presses that can make over 350 pages at a time. The New York Sun earned the name the penny press because it was inexpensive and was able to be sold on the streets for a very good price. It invented the concepts of news with facts and featured advertisements, a main source of newspapers' profits. By 1850, there were over 1,241 weekly newspapers and 138 dailies. The late 19th and early 20th centuries were characterized by the yellow journalism of New York newspapers published by Joseph Pulitzer and William Randolph Hearst. Yellow journalism took exciting journalistic approaches by comic strips, advice columns, and much more. Pulitzer was the publisher, editor, and dispatcher of the St. Louis Post, and changed newspapers' front page by introducing the world to big headlines and illustrations. Hearst began his career as an editor for San Francisco Examiner and then moved to the Big Apple to pursue the same aspirations as Pulitzer. He then purchased the New York Journal.
Tabloids first became popular in the 1920s. During this time, there were tabloid newspapers which printed in a half-page format and usually had a cover instead of a front page. Additionally, broadcast newspapers were present, which were standard papers. Jazz journalism also existed as a lively, illustrated style of newspapering popularized by tabloids. Beginning in the 1920s, broadcast news began to provide up-to-the-minute news delivered with a certain speed that newspapers could not match. Newspapers were so shaken by radio's sudden breakthrough in the 1930s that they threatened to cut off radio stations' access to the Associated Press news and even threatened to stop running program listings. In the end, radio could not be stopped, and instead old media desired to adapt to the updated media environment. Regarding newspapers, there are 1,422 daily newspapers being published, and large chains or corporations own most papers. Inheritance laws also exist, which virtually force the sale of family-owned papers after they have been passed down through 3 generations. The chain with the largest circulation is Gannett. The metropolitan press also comes into play as big city papers that most people think of when they talk about the power of the press. The New York Times is the most influential paper in the U.S., has been nicknamed the Gray Lady, and has been classified as a metropolitan paper despite having much in common with national newspapers and city newspapers. Community and suburban papers are also of importance because of the use of the community press. Community press consists of weekly and daily papers serving individual communities or suburbs instead of an entire metropolitan area. These papers make extensive use of the web and internet, and readers will even go to local papers suiting this category when they feel as though the national press does not cover a story enough.
People near the coast should evacuate immediately. Prefecture northeastern Japan, an intensity of 7 was recorded on the R studios.
When earthquakes hit newsrooms, it's easy to see straight away how powerful they are. And if they're out to sea, just off the coast, then the tsunami doesn't take long to turn up.
And this is a look.
2 teenagers were killed and a 3rd injured in a shocking car crash in the city early this morning.
This aquarium in Japan has been welcoming a new little ray of sunshine. A baby anteater has been shown to the public with it.
Well, for one group of people, the season of goodwill extends way beyond their friends and family. In fact, to random acts of kindness.
These people are out to spread Christmas cheer. Camden to give away toys to local children.
Think of me in the depths of your despair. Make a home.
I don't know what you could possibly expect under this condition, so I'll wait for the ambulance to come pick us up off the floor. What did you possibly expect under this condition, so slow down. This night's a perfect shade of dark blue, dark blue. Have you ever been alone in a crowded room when I'm here with you? I said the world could be burning down. Dark blue, have you ever been alone in a crowded room while I'm here with you? I said the world could be burning, so there's nothing but dark blue. Just dark blue. And this flood is slowly rising up, swallowing the ground beneath my feet. Tell me how anybody thinks.
Will the web replace print newspapers? According to Daniel Rosenwig, one medium doesn't necessarily replace another medium. According to the Pew Research Center for People and Press, roughly 30% of people now go on the internet for news on a regular basis.
Going out for a newspaper, I'll get it online. It's more convenient online.
Internet is easier, so I prefer the internet.
The business of major urban newspapers is dramatically changing as they are losing circulation, cutting back on staff, and facing more pressure from stockholders regarding their investments. In 2006, the Project for Excellence in Journalism reported that the top 3 newspapers lost no circulation, and small newspapers experienced a modest loss. The afternoon dailies were in competition with evening TV news broadcasts, and the morning papers were more up to date on news. As a result, they were shut down.